Alrighty. So with the Raw Nationals comes the top 25 RC rankings. Now, this inspired me. If you guys want to know how the RC top 25 rankings go, I just re-released an audio-only clip from Rick McCreary, who's the owner of this, that we did all the way back in show 36. So that's about 6 years ago. Seriously. That's about 6 years ago. Nah,
Top
5.
10 on top.
Huh?
Who
We
was
weren't
the
doing
top
video
top?
then. We weren't doing
Who was
video.
on top back
Shit.
then, 6 years ago?
Tebow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I bet you Tebow was on top.
Tebow?
Maybe Ongaro might have been on top because yes, it was Ongaro because it was after I
Really?
started to, yes,
Ah,
because the podcast started in 2018 after the Worlds.
that's crazy.
Oh, yeah, true.
So, all right, well, let's bring it up because as I predicted, this caused quite the kerfuffle, but it came from you guys over in Europe this weekend, all pissed off and all pissy about Ongaro dropping off the top of the lister, and the Americans are happy because finally Phend's up there. But I think Phend's been number one before. It's usually either Phend or Mayfield, to be honest.
Yeah.
Tebow stayed up there for quite a long time. And here it is. So we have Dakotah Phend moving to the top. Now, AE guys and Europeans were upset. I posted this up on my Facebook and I was like, this is going to trigger people. And it did. We had 135 plus comments on that. And I get why people get upset at this, but to be honest, right now, this list is what a lot of manufacturers base contingency and a lot there is weight behind the top 25 RC rankings at this moment in RC.
And I would say, what if Ongaro would drive these big races like Silver State, DNC? He hasn't done those.
Then he might fall down. Well, if he doesn't do well, then he falls down.
Yeah, exactly. But if he does well, he would be still on top.
So I would say this. Does Dakotah Phend deserve to be on top right now at this very moment? Do I think Dakotah Phend is the best
I think
8-scale
after
racer
Roar,
right now? Right now? Yes, maybe this week. But
I mean, after Roar Nationals, yes.
yeah,
He did
should
well.
be.
He won 3 classes. I mean,
it's
a good result for him, for sure.
I
Then people has to like think that, okay, Euros will be next week. So
maybe it
for
changes.
sure, if Ongaro would win, he probably will be on top.
I'll say this: Dakotah Phend, Davide Ongaro, and then I'll bump down Elliott Boots because I'll put Ryan Mayfield there. I think those are the 3 fastest 1/8 scale racers in the world right now, right? Both have their positives and negatives, but I think out of those 3, the 4, said 3, 4. I apologize. Out of those 4, I think 2 of those guys can do well on any track, and that is Dakotah Phend and Juan Carlos Canas. I'm not saying that Mayfield can either, but we've beat that horse to death. That obviously on the high bike tracks and stuff like that, it's a little bit of a difference, right? I talked about Ongaro on my last podcast, how I feel he doesn't come over to the USA enough, and I was talking to him earlier, and he said he's going to come over. Obviously, he's coming over to practice at Thornhill, and I encourage him to come to some of the race time events as well. We all know that he isn't a big fan of DNC, and it's not really a style of track and whatnot. And he's had podiums, but never won there. And that's the only real on track he's come to. Well, he came to Thunder Alley for RCGP. But I would say in that top 5, they have 4 of them right. I kind of put Mason Fuller in that top 5 as well at this point. But I don't know. I think any 3 of those guys, Phend, Ongaro, or Canas, can be the number 1 at this point. But right now, it's Dakotah Phend, and he won it. And so for people that are saying, I saw some people complaining that other nationals don't count, like the Italian nationals. Why Ongaro won the Italian nationals? Why didn't that count? We also had the Italian race. Well, it doesn't fit into basically this list is based off races with competition, right? So not all races have equal competition. Yeah. You cannot compare the Italian nationals to the American nationals,
exactly.
Right? You can compare the European championships, the American nationals. Absolutely. So isn't about each driver's individual national title. And this is where I would say you Europeans should get your shit together and start having some more big fucking races, because you guys don't even have a lot of races where all the best come together. Let's name them all.
Okay.
Euros, Montpellier, maybe
Magellan.
Buggyland. That's the 3 races you
That's
have.
all. Yeah.
When in America, we have well, I say we because I mostly go over there, but there's a plethora of races. So there's going to be more Americans on her. There's,
It's true. But the market is bigger. That's why.
Yeah, and also America's one country where Europe's many, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
no excuse. You guys have had big fucking races. You have a fucking track down in Padova. I know a lot of people don't like to go to it, but it could have a fucking big race that everybody can go to.
And they will bring back the Neo race. It's just different name.
I get that.
Next year.
Well, hopefully it happens, and hopefully it continues to happen, right?
Exactly.
Because it has to be profitable for that to happen.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
But we can't look at IBC. IBC should be on this list, but obviously we've been plagued with rain for a long. It was one of these races that everybody went to, but obviously it's been rained out. So you guys need to get some more fucking races over there in Europe, for fuck's sakes, where everybody goes and races together. Fuck, don't you think I get tired of? I have my 2 favorite European races, Montpellier and fucking Euros, and then I have to wait to fucking Buggyland all the way in fucking October to I'll see all you fucking Europeans. Fuck. Yeah, somebody's going to get mad at me using too many fucks. Get your shit together.
I mean, I'm cool with it. I can get the race in US. If we would have more races, there wouldn't be that many drivers in US from you.
And maybe if you get, I'm hoping with the return of Neo Buggy that we start seeing some of the Americans come back over and race.
Exactly. That would be cool to have some Americans in Montpellier and Buggyland.
Buggyland seems to be the race they want to go to.
They should return the favor.
I 100% agree with you, Pekko, but you need to make races that they want to come to. And Neo was one of those races that they like to come to.
And Buggyland and Montpellier, I would say.
Well, they're not coming to Montpellier because you know what happens at fucking Montpellier? They do not do well. And you know what?
They would. I think they would.
You know what, though? I will say this. Montpellier has definitely changed the layout the last few years, every race.
Yeah, they had.
I would love to see the Americans come to Montpellier.
Exactly.
But the last American to come there didn't even make it to the semis.
But yeah, I think the problem is that the tracks are the same. That's the thing in US, because the tracks are, the layouts and everything, they're not staying there. So that probably what Europeans should. I mean, Buggyland is like that. The layout changes every year. But Montpellier the layout is the same.
Yes. Well, no, Montpellier changes the layout too. They changed it this year.
Yeah, but it was different for the Euros.
And it's cold in fucking Montpellier and threat of rain too.
Yeah.
So I get where the Americans coming from, where they say they want a track like Neo, and that's where they used to come, and that's probably
exactly.
But I would really like to see that come back, because I think that right now the Europeans, back when Neo was hot, the Americans were on top of the game.
Yeah.
I think they were the faster country at that point, right? Does that make sense? They went into the period where because before it used to be the European was the fastest racers, right? European, Japan. Fastest racers winning the most worlds. And then for the longest while, the Americans had to go over and race in Europe to get better. The Gani and all those guys, Pavitas and all those guys. Then when 8-scale racing started taking off in the States, you started to see a switch. Then a la Neo Buggy days, that's why we have Drake winning 3, T-Bus won 3, Cavs won 1. I think Tasman's won 1, right? But I want to see it come back, because now...
Me too.
I really do. Or a similar type of race.
I never got to race that race.
I never got to go to it either. So I want to see it come back. I hope the Americans do it. I hope the Americans come to the e-buggy worlds. I know a lot of them ain't. I think they're missing out on a great chance to come over and be the first e-buggy world champion. But you guys definitely lack those races that the Americans do. And also, I would say, from generally talking to a lot of the American races, it's just generally a little bit more expensive for them to travel to Europe. Even though, like, if they go to Portugal, they'll realize that Portugal's fucking cheap. You know what I mean? It's actually very cost effective compared to United States and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they don't need to come to Europe. That's the problem. They don't need to come to Europe. You guys
maybe soon they need to.
Maybe they do. But, and I hate it when people take away Ongaro's win at Redovan, right? Like, people forget that he won his first fucking worlds in 2018 on an American style track in Australia.
Yeah, exactly.
And I see Max, he's just sitting there waiting. So we're gonna let Max take the floor.
Yeah, I've been doing some research while you two been talking. So, okay, I'm first gonna tell you how I feel, and then I'm gonna tell you how the facts are. Okay. So, right now, Dakotah Phend is ranked as the top driver in the world. But if Canas, fuck, Ongaro and Phend would face off with each other, I believe that Ongaro would win more often than Phend. You pick 10 random races around the world and you put Phend and Ongaro in the same place. I would pick Ongaro to win maybe 7 out of 10 times. 6 or 7. Same thing with Canas and Ongaro. I would pick Ongaro to win 6 or 7 times out of 10. 10 races at random around the world. I would pick Canas to win DNC, Silver State, maybe some other American race. Other than that, I'd pick Ongaro to win. Okay? That's my feeling. That's what my gut tells me. Okay? But then let me tell you how the facts and the point system and how we quantify how good someone is. Okay. So the way this list works is you have points for each race. And the races are not handpicked by some random guy or not even Rick McQuarrie who owns the site. The races are chosen by like the points of the people that are attending the race. So if all of the people in the top 25 attend the race, it obviously the race is going to count. But I don't know what the quota is, but there's a certain amount of points that the race has to get together that it counts on the list for as a counting race. And even then, if there's higher level drivers, the points you get out of the race is more. Similar system as you have in golf and other sports that have events that not everybody goes to. You don't have a series. So you have a ranking system. Tennis, I think, has this ranking system as well. Okay. And now is the research part about this. So I went back to look until 2020, so when COVID hit. The only driver to go above 150 is Mayfield when he was with Mugen on points. Right now, Ongaro is at 144.9 points. That's the highest he's ever been. So Ongaro has never had more than 144.9 points on this list post COVID. I don't know before that. I didn't want to go that far back. Mayfield's the only one to go by that, by 150. Fend's top is 146. And right now, Fend is at 145.2. Okay. And that's the points. Okay. So even with all the races counting for Ongaro, sure, there's that Euros result where he had a DNF, which hurts him more than Fend's DNF at the Worlds because Fend races more. You know, Fend has more recent results to put on the list and give him points and then count that average up. So having one DNF doesn't really hurt that much. But Ongaro has that one DNF that hurts him. That most likely there is a point where that DNF drops and and Ongaro doesn't attend another event that his points go up. But yes, that DNF hurts him, but also him attending only races where he's good at helps him as well. Because the less races you attend, the less chances you have for a DNF, you know? The less chance you have of having a tough weekend because you only go to races where you're good at. So when we look at the data, when we look at the points and the way these points are counted, I think it's clear that Phend is the top ranked driver in the world. Does that mean still that he would beat Ongaro every time out of 10? No, it does not. It means that when you look at Phend from the past 2 years, which is the interval these results are taken, and then after a year they drop, or after some time period that is undisclosed, it drops into the lower tier of points. That's when, you know, that 2-year period kind of the older results win out, the fresher results give more points. And if you look back year back from now, I think it's inarguable that Phend has looked better than Ongaro in his respective field. You know, he has more top results than Ongaro. He has more consistent beating off these guys. But last time they faced each other, yes, Phend was worse. But I think that's the thing about ranking is that what is the expectancy of this guy to win his next race, basically? Not who is the absolute best against the absolute other one. Because the thing is that, yes, Mayfield is 5th on this list and he's trailing Phend by 20 points by the calculations. But if the next race was DNC, I would still pick Mayfield. Yes, that doesn't mean that Mayfield's a better racer or better ranked driver, but that field suits him. And that is the big difference here, that right now we have so few events and each event has their unique characteristics. Like tennis is fucking tennis, you know? Golf is golf. It's not like here it wins more than the other place. Like,
Right,
yeah,
right, right.
sometimes, but you have the same elements everywhere.
Mhm.
But for us, it's hard to calculate the head to head from a ranking. But the ranking tells you how well this person has performed against their peers. Okay. And when you look at that specifically, it's undisputable that the Phend performs the best against his peers around all the races he attends than Ongaro. And I think that's as simple as it gets. But I still think Ongaro is the best racer in the world.
You said, but you agreed with me that Canas was the best race in the world fucking 3 weeks ago.
I'd say best overall, but I think Ongaro has a higher peak.
I think people have to understand that this is a rankings and not a point series, right? That's number one, like you said.
Exactly. No, but
would it-
even point series, like, it's not that the fastest guy wins every year.
most consistent.
Yeah, exactly. So consistency is a thing. You know, sometimes, like even now, like Verstappen is not that far off in the F1 standings, but it's undisputable that, you know, Norris and Piastri are incredibly fast, you know, and they're much faster than Verstappen. But Verstappen somehow fucking gets his results once in a while, you know? And I think that's what people need to understand, that objectively, Norris and Piastri at the moment are in better form in F1, but like the points are still closer than the objective truth is.
Yeah,
Or the subjective,
I
whichever
don't
way
think.
you look at it. But
Look, this isn't taking away the fact that Ongaro is the fucking current world champion and won that 3 times, right, in a row.
yeah,
This is not taken away from
exactly.
that. That is in IFMAR standings, he is still number one, and a lot of people will say that he is number one in the world. But at the same time, these guys are out here racing quite a lot. Canas is included in these guys because he's coming over to race against these guys quite a lot, right? I include Canas in this a lot. I don't, and like you said, if you put these guys up in races and different events and all that type of stuff, I still gonna pick Phend, Canas, and some of these other guys over Ongaro sometimes. But that
Yeah,
still doesn't
exactly.
take away from the fact that Ongaro's fucking a world champion. But I think it's unfair to say that this is for 2 years, he's gonna be the number one driver on this ranking just because he's the world champion, right?
Exactly.
Yes, you can never take that away from him. Now, if this was a point series where he was obligated to go to these type of races and to get points and get paid for each one, this would be a different story, right? Then we can talk about it a little bit more in depth. But I think we're a few years away from having that. Even though we have the races, you just need to, We can't even. I know I'm going back on JQ's soapbox here, but I found 100% agree with him. I don't even want to put more races in there. I just want to agree that we're going to send these guys to these certain races. Obviously, the American races still count, but let's throw in one fucking European race. Let's throw in one European race where these guys go, where everybody commits to going. It could be one European race. It could be a fucking race in Asia. Look, we got the Asian Buggy Championship. Why couldn't Philippine Masters be one of those? I'm good. I sound like JQ. I know.
Yeah, but it's true.
It's true. Like, just do 4 races. You could have one in Philippines, one in Europe, and then 2 in America. Pick 2 races. You can make it easy. DNC or Silver State. Silver State's probably better because it's inside. Make it Silver State, and then pick a race time event because they're both guaranteed races, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the problem is there has to be rules and regulations. There's going to have to be tech at each one of those races. There's going to have to be a pro-Joe separation class where the pros get the attention and probably the pros get teched where the Joes don't. I mean, they tech people at DNC, right? But the focus should be on the pros and that type of stuff. That would be ideally what would be happen. And then we have a World Series all done virtually. But we can't. We're getting close to that, but we got to agree on that, right? We can't, come back to the series thing. So for now, this rankings, while we may not agree, if you look at the standings, it's not far off. Yes, we can disagree in some of the orders of some of them. Maybe this person should be here and this person should be here. When you look at that top 5, it's not that, it's pretty accurate. Okay, maybe Boots maybe isn't in the top 5 right now. Maybe Fuller's there. But those can be debated. But the top 3, I don't think we can argue. Top 4, we don't think we can argue about.
I think I could be wrong about the number, but I think in 2018, at least in 2018, all of the people in the final, except for CJ Jelin, could have been also CJ Jelin was in the top 15. But if I'm not wrong, the people in the top 15 on the list, those people, the finalists at the Worlds were all in the top 15 of the list. So basically the list got 3 people wrong of the A finalist of the Worlds. Okay? At the Redovan, I don't think that held true because of the fact that it was biased towards the Europeans.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The Americans are going to love you now.
No, I don't think saying that, like, of course it's biased towards the Europeans just looking at the results. Europeans did much better than the Americans, and if it wasn't on Australia the race, I don't think Europeans would have done that well.
Okay.
And I think that proves that when you go to a place where nobody is perfectly comfortable, the list has actually a really, really solid prediction. And I think, again, now that we go to Thornhill, as we stated before, I predict that almost, I'd say everyone from who is in the main, maybe barring a Sontag or a Lemieux, is going to be on this top 25 list. And
I would not argue that.
most likely close to being in the top 15 again. And that's just like, that's the point of this list. Like, when you take everything, all the context away, and then put in everything to a level playing field for everyone, not like you build a new track. No, you have the average of surfaces, you have the average of layout, you have the average of conditions, and tire doesn't have a big effect, and so on. That's when the list is right.
Cool.